Aloha, hey, it's Julie Ziemelis for 365 Hawaii and the 365 Hawaii group with Keller Williams Realty in Big Island. And I am here today with a variety of our wonderful real estate partners and mortgage partners. We are happy to have Lance Owens with Luba Real Estate and also the president of the West Hawaii Association of Realtors with us. We have Delania Branham from eXp Realty. There you go. We've got Jana Mahoney from Keller Williams, my partners, and we have Amber Haley from Hawaii Life, and she's our East Side mole. And then we also have Marla and Scott Wynn with the Wynn and Egan team, Citywide Home Mortgage, and they are very excited to bring you guys some information about a market that is turning. So I'm going to start with Lance, and then we'll go around the room from there. So Lance, why don't you let us know what you are seeing in the market right now?
Hey, aloha guys, thank you. Kind of what I'm seeing in the market is our inventory, we've increased from about 6 months ago where we had about 50 homes available to look at. And as of right now, we have 101 homes available in the market. So we have doubled our, our inventory, which has been great, but we should be at 150. So we're only 2/3 of the way there, but we're double what we were 6 months ago. Interesting thing is when we've talked about this, the only thing they said that could change pricing would be inventory or the volcano. Inventory's gone up and prices have gone up extremely. We're actually at our median home price right now is 55% higher than it was a year ago. So a year ago, year over year to date, it's up 18%. So, and I've been watching the median home price all month, and it is sitting at, it's been between 1.2 and 1.4 million. As we sit right now, the median home price in Kailua is 1.4 million even.
Wow. Oh boy. Okay. And then for condos, do you have any stats on what's happening with the condo market? Delania, do you have those stats, or Lance, do you have those?
You want me to give you the numbers, Delania? So the condominiums we were looking at, so the inventory in the condominiums is still way down quite a bit. We're 31 condos available today. We've been running between 20 to 30 this year. So inventory on condos are still extremely low, and the median price on condos is sitting at $515,000, where it was $422 a year ago. So it's up 21% year over year, and it's up 31% year to date.
Okay. Okay. That's some sobering numbers, but it's okay because things are changing. So Delania is going to throw in when we talk about trends in the market. So Jana, would you want to talk about Waikoloa and Waikoloa Village?
Sure.
Oops, there you go.
Oh, am I muted?
No, there you are. You're back now. Okay.
Okay. Had to keep that dog and that husband quiet. So Waikoloa Village basically has 16 homes right now, which is an improvement. You know, we've had days where we didn't have much on there at all. So that's kind of nice. The median is 1,019,000. So that's kind of amazing for Waikoloa Village. But you've got to realize too that does include that pie includes Monolani. So there is one Monolani listing in there that kind of maybe throws that off a little bit. But you know, 1,019,000 is probably what you're going to pay in Waikoloa Village right now. There's a few below that. It's amazing, isn't it? But there are 16. So that's the nice thing. At least there's more on the market. For condos in that same tax code area, there are 15 now. So that's a big improvement as well. And they're going anywhere from 1,467,000. No, that's the average. Sorry. From 320 to 4 million. So you got a pretty wide range in there. Quite a few in the, in Waikoloa Village, Ilimilani and Fairways, and you may or may not be able to do short-term vacation rentals in those. So you've got kind of a differentiation between the ones that are up in Waikoloa Village and the ones that are down in the resort. They're in the same tax key, but you can't necessarily treat them the same way as far as that goes.
Yeah. So
then,
Lance and I usually use, like, let's say Alihilani condos as kind of like a bellwether for what's happening with the housing prices. What is Alihilani going for right now?
So there's actually several Alimalanis right now. There's one for $433,500, and it's been on the market 8 days. There's another one for 450 that's been on the market 22 days. And that's it for Limolani right now.
Okay.
The
Well, that
average
gives
days on
people,
market.
yeah, well, that
Yeah.
just gives people an idea for pricing, at least for that
Right, yeah.
condo complex. And we can go back when we go around, we can talk about a little bit more, but for people who
Yeah.
are gonna be watching this on YouTube, I want them to see kind of what's happening with these, like, if they hear it every single month, they get an idea of what's really happening with the market. And then you're gonna say something else, go ahead.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the prices have gone down, but the days on market has gone up. So that's kind of an interesting story. I don't know how long that'll hold up, but that's what's happening right now. Then in 369, which is Waikoloa Resort, not Waikoloa Village. So, down closer to the ocean. There are 17 listings right now, and the lowest is 875. And that's a 2-bedroom at the shores, and the highest is 4 million, which is Kolea. With an average of about 1.5 million. The average days on market, 35. So that's a pretty big change too.
Mhm.
Because
And then Kolea,
what's
well, I'll say Kolea, for a lot of people who might not know which one that is. That's one of the top luxury ones right on the ocean with all the amenities and the good stuff. So
they're running 1.8 to 4, kind of depending on where they are in the complex and if they have another.
there we go. Okay.
In the residences for that tax key, there's Puako. That's really the only place in that area where you have that. And there are 5 in Puako right now, from 1,150,000, which is basically a lot in Puako. And then the most expensive is 7,250,000. So that's a really nice area down there. So even the lots there are pretty pricey. And then the last one I pulled was the Waimea Mauna Kea slice of the pie, and 25 residences there now. So kind of an uptick there. You've got a lot more days on market here. You've got anywhere from 650 to $8 million, because you've got the Mauna Kea residences in there, and then the condos in that area, which are all Mauna Kea, you've got 3. So they're 2.5 to 2.9 in that area. Then I actually have one more area, the North Kohala. So Kohala by the Sea, Kohala Ranch. There are 7 residences now. And again, that's more residences, but you do have the 86 days on market and 1.895 to 6.25.
There you go. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's swing it around over to the other side of the island and go with Amber, who's going to talk about the area between Hilo and Pahoa. Okay. Okay, go for it.
All right. Hi, everybody. Amber Haley here. So East Hawaii, I mostly reference the Puna district and the South Hilo district. That's where the vast majority of our sales happen. And in general, we're still seeing median prices. They're honestly still up in South Hilo and Puna. We haven't really seen, even though things feel a lot slower to people, we haven't really seen the median prices drop. Like, that'll be interesting to stay tuned the rest of the year and see what happens. But we do have inventory up and sales volume down. So it does feel like things are slow, I think, because of that. But prices, are still up. So we'll see. Let's see. Right now, your median price right now, if you're shopping around Hilo, is still staying around 355, or excuse me, Puna around 355,000. So your money still goes a lot farther in the Puna district than really anywhere else on the island. And Hilo, it's sitting at about 465 right now for median sales price. And that's up about 18% in Puna and 20% in Hilo from where we were at a year ago.
Okay. And then like, let's say that if we had okay, no, HPP. So something in your area that people kind of keep an eye on in terms of what's happening with the pricing. HPP has enough houses in it to kind of tell you kind of what's happening in there, right? So can you give us an idea of what's happened in that area? Is the prices are still exploding there, or is it just stagnating? What's happening there?
Yeah, prices are still like a lot higher than they were last year and the year before. But things aren't selling as fast. Here, let me pull up really fast what the most expensive house in HPP is right now. So the lowest price you can get is 200,000 in HPP, and that is going to be like a cash only kind of property, and all the way up to you know, for a property on 2 acres on 10th Avenue, 725,000. So your average house in HPP that most buyers are looking at is still sitting in the upper 4s, mid 5s for Hawaiian Paradise Park.
Okay. Okay. That's kind of gives us an idea of kind of like, again, the subdivisions, again, an idea of what's going on there. Okay. And so that's, okay. So that's the real estate aspect of it. And we'll take questions and stuff on the real estate part, but I also want to give Marla and Scott a chance to talk a little bit about the money aspect of all of this. And let's hear about, like, you know, one of the things that I think you guys should touch on as well is we're seeing some different kinds of programs coming into the market right now to help home buyers who feel like, you know, that the interest rates have kind of kicked them. Can you talk about the mortgage market and also maybe some of those programs that you can suggest as well, you guys?
Sure. So one thing I guess I should address first is you probably heard in the news that the Fed recently increased interest rates. And so I want to address that real quick. What they're referring to is not mortgage rates. There's a lot of confusion surrounding the Fed increase versus mortgage rates. Because sometimes they do seem linked, but they are not. So the Fed, when they increase interest rates, what the Fed is doing is increasing the rate at which banks borrow from one another. So that's not directly related to mortgage rates, but it is more directly related to savings rates. So like your savings account rates will generally go up when the Fed increases interest rates. Credit card rates go up, things like that. Sometimes auto loans, student loans. But mortgage rates are not tied to the Fed funds rate. So I just want to clear that up and make sure that people understand the difference between that. And in fact, what we saw when the Fed increased rates here the most recent 2 times is that we saw an immediately decline in mortgage rates. And that's just because of how the economics associated with it play out. So as far as mortgage rates go, they have declined over the last few weeks. So we're probably sitting. And of course, there's lots of variables that play into mortgage rates, right? I mean, we're talking about occupancy, whether it's primary home, vacation home, or investment property, whether it's a single family home or a condo, how much money you're putting down, what your credit score is, things like that. So just to give you a general idea, for owner occupied, 20% down, 740 plus credit score, single family, you're probably looking at the mid 5s, maybe slightly lower, again, just depending day to day for interest rates. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Did you want me to go ahead and address some of the programs, Julie?
Yeah, just because it's funny because again, there's all kinds of opportunities now for people to get not a lot of people. I know this group is a little bit more educated than some people, but you don't need 20% down to buy a house, right?
Definitely don't need 20% to put down. You can get 5% down loan programs. I mean, there's even 0%, 3% down payment options available for owner occupant purchases. So yes, there are definitely a variety of loan options available for lower down payments, significantly lower than 20%, especially when you're looking at owner occupied. So some other things that might be helpful in today's market is just because things are sitting on the market a little bit longer, maybe sellers are willing to maybe negotiate a little bit more than they have in the past, and interest rates have gone up, which has kind of caused that all to occur, is to consider different interest rate buy down strategies, where rather than maybe offering a lower price on a home, because maybe that's going to be more palatable than it has been over the last little bit, is to maybe request a seller concession to help buy down your interest rate. And there's both permanent buy down options and temporary buy down options. So a permanent buy down option is exactly what it sounds like. You pay a one-time fee at the time of closing and it permanently buys down your interest rate for the entire life of the loan. So maybe you can negotiate something where the seller pays $5,000 or $10,000, depending upon how long the home has been on the market and what negotiating power you might have as a buyer. So that would be something that you could buy down the interest rate permanently, or you can do what's called a temporary buy down. And the nice part about a temporary buy down is kind of stair steps you into a higher payment over time, but keeps it lower to begin with. So to explain that as quickly as I can, let's say a 2-1 buy down is 2% percentage points lower in interest rate for the first year, then 1 percentage point lower the second year, and then it goes to whatever your interest rate is from there forward. So if let's say you had a 5.5 rate, your first year rate would be 3.5, your second year rate would be 4.5, and then it would stay at 5.5. And basically the cost to do that is the difference in monthly payments between what your rate is and what the bought down rate is for the first year and the second year. And it's all just paid up front. And so potentially there could be some negotiation to occur with the seller to help cover that, to help get you ramped up into that higher interest rate. So
That's good. Especially, we've been hearing about some people trying to come to the island and start some new businesses, or they're coming for different jobs, and to know that you can get in lower. And then as you continue to make more money and you can afford a higher rate, then that would work for them as well. So,
Right.
So cool.
It is important to note, that you have to qualify for the full rate payment. So you have to qualify for the full rate that you're going to pay in the third year in that situation, not the temporary buy down rate.
Oh, that keeps people out of trouble, right?
right.
Yeah. So, okay. So we just had a group of 2 people join us. Congratulations, Josh. So if you'd
Thanks.
like to have some questions for our panel, please put them in the chat box, which I'm seeing if I can access that right now. Chat, there we go. So what we're going to do real quick is we're going to ask these wonderful human beings what they're seeing with the trends and what we can expect maybe over the next month or 2. This is where it gets good, because we start doing some prognostication on what's going to happen in the future, which is always fun. So Delania, do you have an idea of what right now, what you're seeing in the market versus what the statistics are saying? What are you saying?
I thought it was interesting. I pulled up the sales volume for June, May, and April island-wide. And it may jumped up, but April and June are almost across the board. So June, 84 condos, April was 87 condos, 249 homes in June, and 242 homes sold in April. May jumped up, it was 98 and 265. So, if you look at it that way, sales wise, we're not that far off from where we were a couple months ago. And, we have our hot sheet on our MLS, and it shows all the activity today. And there's price drops and price drops and price drops, and stuff selling at price and stuff selling slightly overpriced, slightly underpriced. But we're still seeing listings come up that are kind of like top of the neighborhood, top of the price point. So I feel like there's some changes happening very subtly, but I think it might be a few more months before we start to really feel the difference, feel the impact of the interest rates.
Yeah. And then Lance, what do you see?
Similar, it's kind of a sit and wait to see what happens. Like I say, I said the inventory would be the thing that changes prices, and it changed it all right, but it just went way up higher. So, but we have the ability to have a life again, and the phones aren't ringing. I can do things on a weekend. So, that's just saying that really the people have slowed down, and the craziness has slowed down. So I think that's a good thing. And I think, as it unwinds, inventory typically will adjust the price. It hasn't yet, but we'll see it's kind of that wait and see. It's like the lady said, give it a few more months. I said that 2 months ago, worrying about it, and looking at 50% of the homes that have closed this month have been for cash, and only 11% of the condos that closed this month have been 11 of the 30. So a third of the condos have been only cash. So, we're still getting the financing has not stopped. People are still financing it. They're still buying it. So that didn't slow it down. So wait and see.
Wait and see. Okay. And then Amber, what are your crystal balls talking about?
First of all, I really agree with Lance. I feel like we're still at a month where it is wait and see. A big trend that I'm seeing is a lot of uncertainty about the economy right now. Like, a lot of buyers are confused on what they should do. Sellers are kind of confused on what they should do. And, when you do look at the data, we just kind of don't have enough data to really say, like, this is where we're at, this is where we're heading. So it will be really interesting to see the data from Q3 and Q4 of 2022. I'm looking back at Q2. I'm still seeing sellers market We do have more inventory coming on though. We just kind of have all of these changes. So it's like a hard month to really say what's going on, where we're going, you know, what it's going to look like. It is a wait and see, but I'm seeing that with like clients too, and just really everybody's a little bit confused on what's going to happen. And a lot of people are making predictions, but you know, I kind of want to see the data. I want to see a lot of data change before I say, oh, you know, things have really shifted, but definitely a slowdown like Lance was talking about.
Yeah. And then, Jana, since you straddled the affordable housing and the luxury market in one market.
I know, I've got it all
Are
here.
the high-end homes hanging longer, and then the younger ones were saying, you know what, it's time for me to buy into the market now, or are they holding back?
We know, I don't think that we've seen up in Kohala, I don't think we've seen any huge sea change. Kind of the same thing that Delania said. We've seen a few price drops. We've seen some list prices drop, but we're still seeing kind of the sales price to the list price holding out pretty close to 100%. You know, the change we've seen is longer days on market. So same thing, same exact thing. Not any huge change. I mean, we have more inventory, but it's not like we have this big plethora of inventory that's going to make prices drop for sure. So it's subtle. It's not a huge change.
Okay. And then I'll tell you guys, so I was traveling last weekend and I met with a realtor friend of mine in Seattle, and she says the market has hit the wall. She said more and more inventory is being dumped on the market. Not that many people are buying. And then I saw an update on what's happening in Santa Clara County, and almost like what's happening here, but faster. Days of market are shooting up, and the inventory is going up, and it's slowing, but again, we're not talking about a crash. It's just kind of a slowdown. And then my real estate friend who does real-time real estate marketing trends for the whole country started tracking inventory going up starting on July 4th, and said that normally July is when inventory starts to go up. And just like Amber said, though, he said, let me have it for a month, and then we'll talk about what's really happening here. And so, but it seems like across the country, inventory is starting to build. And, you know, we'll see how it goes. But, you know, it would be nice to, just like Lance was saying, it's nice to have a life. we aren't having our poor buyers saying I'm running against 18 different people for one house. Oh my gosh. So, you know, maybe it's a kind of like that, you know, the lob experience with the market right now. And then let's ask the mortgage people, how are the mortgage? I mean, have you gotten applications for mortgages? It usually starts with you guys. If you guys see a lot of people coming in getting mortgages, it kind of plays off in the long run. So what are you guys seeing?
I mean, there's definitely been a slowdown in mortgage activity for sure. So it's slowing down a bit, but I mean, we're still closing
Deals.
Transactions and helping people finance home purchases. So, I mean, it's definitely still there. It's just maybe just a bit slower than it has been over the previous 6 to 12 months.
In most markets, it's still more affordable to buy than it is to rent, and rents are going up and you can't control rent. So I think a lot of buyers are still looking to buy. And I remember as we had these conversations and calls over the past year and a half, we were saying we just need inventory, right, Lance? And now we have more inventory. And I think it's just buyers feeling a little bit more confident to actually get back out into the market. And so I think things are a little bit slower, but people are just taking a deep breath.
Yeah, there was a drastic increase in interest rates in a very short amount of time. And I think that kind of shocked the market, and it shocked buyers into wondering what's going to happen. And just like Haley said, Amber said, sorry, about the fact that people are just kind of pausing for a moment to see what's happening and let the market kind of sit for a couple of months. And so I just think that that's kind of what's happening right now.
And maybe a little fearful that we're in a crash, which we're not. We're not in a housing bubble. No data indicates we're in a housing bubble.
Right. Yeah. Now I'm seeing on YouTube, you know, a crash coming. You know, the whole clickbait thing. And, just, Lance, because you're the president of the association, can you give everyone, just because people watch on YouTube later on, what's the story about why the housing market's not going to crash in Hawaii? Plain and simple.
7 years for it to get, if you got an idea that you want to build a subdivision, it's 7 years from now until the shovel hits the ground. So, we're working with the mayor, we're working with the governor right now on trying to change these things. they've created their own problem with all these regulations and zoning. So, and this is a 50 state problem. You know, when we met in Washington, D.C., all 50 states have the same problem, that their local ordinances and zoning has just made it impossible to build. So if those things change, you know, it'll help. But as it sits right now today, it's 7 years. So
Yeah.
I don't see anything happening.
So basically, the people who want to live in Hawaii still have to deal with the fact we just don't have a lot of extra housing. So there is still the competitive nature of this whole experience, right?
Yeah. And again, you know, we're still we're only 66% of where we should be right now for inventory. So even though we've doubled it, it has not affected the pricing. It's just given people a little bit more choice. They're still buying. They're still doing it. So
there you go. There you go. Let's open it up to the floor for those wonderful human beings out there. Somebody just asked again, and he's like, he missed part of it. I'm going to have to kick his butt. Is anybody wanting to ask a question that we can put in there? Hi, Frank. You're going to have to watch the YouTube video later. So I know that Lori Bond and her husband Lance are waiting for at least another year before they have to buy, so that's good for them. And I know that we've got Christina, who's waiting. Christine from Alaska. She's kind of seeing how things go with the market and what's happening on her side of the trying to sell her home too. But is anybody like in the market like right now that is like wanting to like say, what would you maybe ask for some suggestions on how you would handle this market? No one yet. Well, if I would be a buyer right now, I'd be asking these guys, hold off and get some sellers who are really desperate, or is now to jump in. And
we're still on the market.
You're still in the market?
Sally and I are still.
Oh, so Sally, that's right. You guys are looking for it still. In,
yeah.
So in East Hawaii?
Yes. We have a 10-day trip planned in mid-September, and actually going to stay there, but about half hour ago, we emailed Amber. There's a property that popped back on the market, and we're trying to figure out what we'll add or what's the story. So I guess Amber can get back to us on that.
So okay. So then, and in fact, you're the third person I heard that's coming in September to look for housing. So again, this is the fall experience too.
Oh, if things look good on the one that we sent to Amber, maybe they're sooner. Have a long.
Yay! Well, let me know. I'm cheering for you guys to get on the island. So as I am for all of you, actually. What are you showing there? Are you taking a picture? Okay. Michael, do we have like stats that are supporting it right now?
Well, it's something interesting while we're waiting if anyone wants to type something in. I've been here since 1984 and I've watched things go up and down all these years. And one of the things that has always helped Hawaii is that as our dollar gets weaker, as we go into recession, things happen, other dollars get stronger against ours and they fill in the gap to Hawaii where they might not fill in that gap to Wisconsin or to Iowa and things like that. So big headlines yesterday was Japan Airlines, the first direct flights to Kona start on Tuesday. So there'll be planefuls of Japanese buyers coming in starting this Tuesday, direct flights. So this will be their destination zone. So that'll be interesting. I've seen that happen in 3 different changes now over the 30 plus years, almost 40 years.
Wow. So more tourists.
More tourists, but more tourists are more buyers. These people are going to come in, and I don't think they're going to be buying up as much in Honolulu as they did before because they're realizing what happens in big cities in the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're going to want more rural areas. And I think this is going to be the time that the Japanese start buying up. And if you look back in the 80s, what they did with Waikoloa and those areas, you can see some of those hotels and stuff were bought up by the Japanese in the late 80s. If you look at the TMKs, and then they were sold for pennies on the dollar, in the 90s when our market got better, and it just goes up and down. So it's the one thing when people are waiting and they're watching the economy in America, they're forgetting about the other economies that are watching ours and in destination areas like Hawaii.
Yeah. No, and that's that. Obviously, this island has more land for sale lately. So I know that I think Golk is trying to build here is so hard. I think I saw that land sales have actually dropped pretty high because it's been so hard to buy a piece of land and then get it built on. We had somebody in one of my groups ask, if I buy a piece of land like next month, can I move in to my brand new house next summer? And everybody in the group went like this, no. In fact, quite a few people said that they've still been waiting. It's been 2 years for them to be able to get their house moving along. So, which is interesting because Delania built a house and it didn't look like she was waiting 3 years to put a shovel in the dirt. So it must have been a good time to build then. Yeah. Our contractors are still stretched very thin here. So, yeah. And then, okay, then for the trend report to you guys, let's say that the inventory continues to go up. We still have a bunch of buyers in the market here. Let me just tell you guys out. If you see a house that's been sitting there for more than 10 days, are you in a position to say, hey, would you think about lowering the price? Or do you think that we're still not at that point where people are taking those kind of concessions? Maybe if it sits on the month, if it's over a month on the market. I don't know if there's a strategy there for people who look at days on the market when they're looking at the inventory. Is that, something that they think about doing?
So I
You
would
gotta
say-
look at,
Jana,
Sorry. I was gonna say you can always ask. And if you're representing the buyer, I would always ask, it's a negotiation because, you don't let it die on your side ever, regardless of what side you're on. So yeah, you can now before when you had people giving you multiple offers in a week, that would be a waste of your time to do that. But after 10 days, 30 days, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then Lance, what you're saying?
pretty much the same thing. You got to ask and try. It's out there, and it's if it's been on the market, if it's been out 2 or 3 days, I discourage them doing that. But again, you look at the experienced agents that you have in here. They'll look at that market and they'll look to see, is that price over? Are they just reaching? Because we've said in our previous reports, every time it's been a step. Something sells for $450 today, they're going to put it on the market for $500 tomorrow, and next week they're going to put on for $550, and now it's more of a handicap ramp. It's just going up very slowly. It's going up, a little bit better, closer to, like it should be going up, a normal rate. So we do get a lot of buyers. I see those price reductions that are happening. But it's a person that thought they could take it another step when they listed it. It's not truly a real price reduction, but it sure makes good headlines that there's always price reductions. I saw there's a question in the box there too.
Right. About so Christine asks, so are people now generally coming in person to shop for homes as opposed to all the sight unseen purchases? So what are you guys seeing with that? Are you seeing more people? Yes, you are coming, but themselves, right? Yeah.
In my experience, they're planning to come during inspection instead of popping over because it's, it's such a volatile market. They don't want to fly over, look at something, and then the next week there's something else on and they don't get their offer accepted. So, my Mainland Buyers' strategy has been get into escrow and then come over that first week and see it then.
Yeah. And Jen, are you seeing anything in terms of, are any of your people, Jana's got like 2 or 3 listings on, or is anybody saying, I just want to see it and I'll just do the whole thing through FaceTime?
No, I agree completely with Delania. I think that what's happening now is people will get it in if they're not here and then come during the inspection period, because you have all that time to do that. And that makes more sense.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose it, but you want to nail it down. You want to set the hook, but then you want to check it out before while you still have.
Yeah. And then Amber, since your market's a little bit different than West Hawaii, are people able just to fly over and say, sure, I'll take that house? Or what are you seeing? Are people calling it in?
I'm still seeing some sight unseens, and I kind of think it just might be the new normal, in the world that we live in. I kept thinking that they would completely maybe go away as we get, more and more, I don't know if I can say past COVID, I don't know if we're past COVID, but I still see them, not as many, but I still see them. And I just think, yeah, it's just like the new way we do business in the world, and people can plan a little bit more virtually, and that works. Like they were saying, come in for the inspection instead, maybe once you have something under contract. So yeah, but I definitely still see it.
Okay, good question, Christine.
The thing that I feel like it's like it used to be a buyer would say, I'm going to come in September and I'm going to look at all the houses and I'm going to pick one. And now you can come plan your trip and there might be 1 or 2 or 0 listings. So it's not a shopping trip anymore. So it doesn't make sense to fly over just to look at inventory. It's, it's kind of a waste of time and money at that point.
Yeah. Well, since I get the kind of like the fresh group of people, I've been getting some emails and some people reaching out through the YouTube channel. What they want to do is they want to come and look at the whole island, and they want to look at the neighborhoods. So they're not actually here looking for a house per se. They're kind of doing that familiarization trip going on. So I see like a new wave of people who are probably a year out, who are doing their, they're coming and just kind of checking it out and stuff. So, so that's another way too, that obviously then that's kind of like what Curtis and those guys did, is that they know what the whole market looks like. Therefore, when they hear about a neighborhood or a certain area, they are more familiar with it. And then they can make that offer even if they're not on the island. So, so again, I know that there's like, we're getting like hundreds of people who watch these programs after they're over. So if your idea is to come and say, I want to look at housing, we always kind of suggest, make sure you want to live on our island first. Don't come sight unseen, never come to Hawaii Island. So come and, one of our realtor friends will always make sure that you guys get some information about the market. So when you're here, maybe you might not find an open home, but you'll at least know what the pricing is in the neighborhood. And so that's when, one of our wonderful people here who can give you some information about what the market's doing when you're here can help you. So we're at about 40 minutes. Is there any other questions that we have that people want to throw in and ask? Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of some fun stuff here. So next Wednesday, Amber and I are going to be sitting down and doing a deep dive into just East Hawaii numbers and what's happening in the market. So that's next Wednesday at 4 o'clock. And then the next day on Thursday, Lance and I will be doing a deeper dive into what happened in the July numbers as we report out what happened in August. So as we go into August. So that's Amber is going to be talking stats on the 3rd and Lance on the 4th at 4 o'clock. And both of those will be on the Facebook page, the 365 I'm moving to the Big Island page. We will put those out back on YouTube afterwards. I'm hoping to get Jana to do her own show eventually in the Kahala area, beg for her on. And then what we're doing is trying to put this whole together to make a podcast. So we are hopefully taking all these and then also adding maybe one more segment talking to people on the island that are actually helping the industry, like title companies, termites, all the different service people. So you guys can ask questions about the people who actually also support the real estate industry. So we hope to launch that in August, maybe. We'll see how it goes. But also, if you are looking for more information about how to buy a house on this island, please join my 365 Ohana group on movetohawaii365.com. If you join that Ohana group, we ask that you please don't have a dedicated realtor. We do support our realtor partners here, but you'll get the free books that I've written about moving to Hawaii and also buying real estate here, and you can use that as a resource guide. So with that, I want to say thank you to Lance and Delania and Jana and Amber and Scott and Marla and all of you guys for being here. And thanks. And we'll see you guys on the 3rd Thursday of next month. And we'll do this again and see how those numbers are wrapping up. So with that, aloha.
Aloha.
Hey, it's good. Aloha, you guys.